Hello, everyone. Again, this is author Domingo Castillo coming live to you from Coolidge, Arizona. And today I'm going to read another section of The Caregiver. And The Caregiver was written by Domingo Castillo, me. So here we go. It's titled The Rainbow. The day of the transplant arrived like a storm cloud that had been gathering for months. We circled the date on the calendar, counted down the days, prayed through sleepless nights, and now it was here. The hospital seemed almost indifferent to the weight of what was happening. Bright fluorescent lights hummed above gleaming floors, machines beeped on in the distance, staff bustled back and forth. To them it was routine. Another surgery, another patient. Okay? But to me, to us, it was life and death. Her family arrived early, a flood of familiar and complicated faces. Her ex-husband was there too, standing beside their son, Eladio, the boy who was about to become a living sacrifice. They spoke quietly among themselves, voices rising and falling with nervous energy. I had my own children with me, Jessica and Jesse's. Jessica still small, clinging to my hand, and Jesse restless, angry, his jaw clenched tight enough to crack. We were outnumbered, outvoiced. Their side filled the waiting room with anxious chatter, while mine was marked by silence and prayer. I felt the tension like static in the air. Everyone was there for her, but only I was carrying the unbearable truth. One of our children was about to walk into that operating room and give a piece of himself to save her. Eladio was only 18, freshman at UC San Diego. Should have been about lectures, dorm life, late night pizza runs. Instead, his weekends had been spent driving back and forth home, meeting with doctors, enduring test after test. Blood draws, scans, questions about his health history. Each time I wanted to pull him away, shield him, and remind him, the doctors, that this was my boy, not just a chart. But each time he stood firm, saying, I can do it. I want to. The morning of the surgery, he sat on the edge of the hospital bed in a pale gown, IV taped to his arm, monitorings already tracking his every beat. He looked so young, but his face was set with determination I hadn't seen before. His mother, weak and pale beside him, whispered through tears, Are you sure, Eladio? Are you really sure? He nodded without hesitation. Mom, you gave me life, but let me give you some of it back. I turned away, my throat tight. A father's instinct is to protect his son from pain, from harm. And here I was, about to let them cut into him, remove 65% of his liver, and place it into the woman I loved. I wanted to scream that there had to be another way, but there wasn't. The doctors came in, efficient, professional, repeating the risk of as if we hadn't already memorized it. Bleeding, infection, organ failure, death. I hated the way they said it so calmly, like they were talking about the weather. For them, it was clinical. For me, it was my entire world. When the orderlies wheeled Eladio and his mother down the hall, I walked beside them as far as I could. Jessica held my hand, trying to match my steps. Jesse trailed behind, fists jammed into his pockets, his anger masking the fear written all over his face. At the double stores, I had to stop. They kept going. The gurneys rolled forward, and then the door swung shut with the finality that echoed in my chest. I was left staring at the cold steel, feeling as if half my heart had just been carried away. The waiting room swallowed us whole. Her family clustered together, whispering, exchanging worried glances. I sat apart with Jessica pressed against me. Jesse hunched forward, his elbows on his knees. Minutes passed like hours. Every time the door swung open, my heart jumped. only to fall again when it wasn't for us. I prayed like I had never prayed before, not soft, polished prayers, not the kind you recite on Sundays. These were raw, desperate groans pulled from the depths of my soul. God, please, please don't take them. Not both, not my boy, not my wife, please. My words blurred into sobs, into silence, into whispers, too broken to be called sentences. Hours stretched, television in the corner blared at some sitcom laugh track, cruel and out of places. Nurses passed with clipboards, their shoes squeaking on the polished floor. I stared at the double doors until my eyes burned. And then in the midst of it all, God spoke. Not in a voice others could hear, not in a thunder or fire, but a quiet certainly that filled me from the inside out. They will be fine, the voice said, and I will show you with the rainbow. I clung to those words like a drowning man to driftwood. I repeated them under my breath again and again. When fear rose like a tide, I whispered, God said they will be fine. When Jessica asked me if my brother would be okay, I pulled her in close. Yes, God promised. At last, the surgeon appeared. His scrubs were wrinkled, his mask hung loose around his neck, his face lined with exhaustion. He looked at me and said the words I had been aching to hear. They made it. The surgery was successful. Both are stable. I nearly collapsed. My knees buckled, and I pressed my hands to my face, tears streaming, unchecked. Relief washed through me, so fierce it left me trembling. My son lived, my wife lived. God had kept his word. Later that afternoon, after hours at their bedside, I stepped outside to catch my breath. The Arizona air was heavy with the scent of rain, a rare gift in the desert. Clouds parted slowly, and then I saw it. A rainbow stretched across the hospital, bold and brilliant against the gray sky. I froze, staring, breath caught in my throat. My chest swelled with awe and gratitude. God had promised, and here was his signature written in color across the heavens. I stood there a long time, letting the sight sink into me. The rainbow wasn't just light refracted from rain. It was a covenant, a reminder that in the darkest hours, God is still faithful. I walked back inside with a steadiness I hadn't felt in months. The storm wasn't over. There would be complications, recoveries, new trials I couldn't yet imagine. But I carried with me the rainbow, a sign burned into my soul that we were not alone. The days were more than a medical victory. It was a miracle sealed by the heaven's own colors. Amen, my brothers and sisters. And, even reading this to you, I still feel the power of God's words. And people could say, oh, it was coincidence. Yeah, you're right. Coincidence that God said he would seal it with a rainbow, and coincidence that I went outside, and at the exact time after surgery, right above the hospital was this beautiful rainbow. And my son's girlfriend at the time, Shayla, was with me outside, and we both witnessed the rainbow. So, I knew one, God was talking to me. God was there. And God was saying, all you have to do is be faithful. So, my brothers and sisters, and I share this with all of you, when things are down and out, put your faith in God and not man. Because God answers prayers even in the darkest of nights. An 18-year-old giving up his life for his mother, 65% of his liver. And I refer to that as the gift of the Son. The gift of the Son. How cliche, the gift of the Son, Jesus Christ, died for us on a cross to forgive us. And my son, Eladio, gave his liver, 65% of it. And everything that happened afterwards so that his mother could live. And if you tell me that's not a coincidence, that's not a God plan, I would never agree with you. Everything points to the one and only God. So I'm done being on my soapbox today. God bless you. And I'll come back and read some more to you another day. Bye.